Hello there and welcome once again to the Mayor's Magazine. I'm Mick Cornett and this is our show for March 2012. A very special guest today in our first segment on the Mayor's Magazine. Jennifer D'Agostino is here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
She is the Director of Veterinary Services at the Oklahoma City Zoo.
Yes, it's very exciting.
So you're like the top doctor.
I am. Yep, I'm the head of my department. Yes.
And you have your undergraduate and veterinary degrees from Michigan State University?
I am. I'm from Michigan originally, went to school there, and came to Oklahoma after that.
How long you been here now?
I have been in Oklahoma now for almost 10 years.
My goodness, it must seem like home by this time.
It certainly does. I love Oklahoma City.
Well, I know a lot of animals call Oklahoma City their home, and you have such a diverse job. Give us an idea of what's on your current plate as far as the different things you have to deal with.
Sure. Well, every day is different. We have over 2,000 animals at the zoo. We're responsible for the veterinary care of every single one of them. That includes everything from the fish and the invertebrates you see in the Children's Zoo underground all the way up to, you know, the elephants, Maylee and Asha and Rex and Chandra. So things are different every single day. Right now, we do have a ball python in the hospital. This is one of our animals that we use in our education outreach programs. And
so what happened to our bull python?
Well, the ball python unfortunately developed pneumonia, which is very difficult to treat in a snake. So we had to actually...
How did you know it had pneumonia?
Well, what we saw was the snake was actually coughing a little bit and having difficulties breathing.
I'm sorry to laugh at the snake's unfortunate
I know.
health situation, but I'm trying to picture what that must have looked like. And so you've given to recognize this snake is coughing.
Right.
That's not normal.
That is not normal.
And so some sort of attendant noticed this and brought it to somebody's attention.
That's correct. The animals can't tell us that they're feeling ill, so we rely on the keepers to say, you know, this animal's a little bit off, it doesn't seem right, it's not feeling well, and we have to sort of figure it out. So it's kind of a detective story trying to figure out what's wrong with the snake. X-rays showed that it had some pneumonia. And antibiotics just weren't really cutting it. So we had to put a tube directly into the snake's lung through its body wall. And we're nebulizing the antibiotics directly into the lung so that we can get right at the source of the infection. And she's doing much, much better now since we started that.
Okay. And you were telling me about some other situations. You didn't want to have a tortoise that's currently under the weather?
We have a sick Indian star tortoise. They're in our herpetarium. She became very dehydrated, which, as you know, in a human...
Again, here I am laughing.
I know.
How does a tortoise get dehydrated?
Well, a tortoise can get dehydrated because she wasn't eating and drinking properly. So she wasn't getting the fluids that she needed to maintain, you know, her normal fluid balance. And we found out she has 2 eggs in there that are stuck in her reproductive tract. So we're going to get her hydrated, and then we're going to get those eggs out of there so that she'll feel better.
Now, is that the type of tortoise who would do well in a dry climate or in a moist climate?
These tortoises are typically more in a little bit of a drier environment. They're not an aquatic species, so they typically are good at adapting to those arid environments. However, because she has the eggs that are stuck in her reproductive tract, that then caused her to have a slight infection, and then she wasn't able to maintain her hydration. So that was the first thing we noticed. We didn't even know she had eggs, so got the surprise on the X-ray.
Wow. And typically, because animals can't draw attention to their own problems, how does that process work its way up to your attention?
There's a very, very good communication between the veterinary staff and the animal keeper staff. We talk daily with our animal keepers, and they immediately bring to our attention anything that is out of the ordinary. So if an animal for one day doesn't eat, which is unusual, maybe that animal eats every day, usually very readily, then that's something that might trigger that something's going on. And we'll go down to the exhibit, take a look at the animal, do our best to try to see if there's any other signs of illness, and then go from there. Sometimes it will require an examination, which sometimes requires anesthesia. As you know, I can't just go and examine a tiger. I might not come back out. So, so we do use a lot of anesthesia to decide what's going on with the animals.
Maylee, our baby elephant, was born last spring, I guess it was. Were you involved at all in that process?
I absolutely was. I was very heavily involved. Once Asha's progesterone level dropped, which indicated she was going into labor, I was at the zoo 24/7. I went home periodically here or there to take care of my own animals, but we stayed there, and I was ultrasounding to monitor the birth and how she was progressing with her labor, and was there as soon as the baby was born to do a well baby exam, her very first exam, you know, of many that we'll do for her throughout her life.
And how did Asha hold up throughout the delivery?
Asha did great. I think that she was a little bit scared because she didn't really know what was going on. She had never been around a birth before. The only time she had seen a baby elephant was when her sister Chandra was born. Asha was only 1 year old at that time, so we don't know how much she really remembers about that. But she immediately was a great mother to Maylee, and then learned very quickly what she needed to do. So she did perfect.
Mm-hmm. And what's next for the elephants? I know we have Rex, the bull elephant,
Yes.
in there, and there's the potential for more births.
That's definitely our hope. Rex and Chandra are in the process of meeting right now, and hopefully soon Chandra will get pregnant, and then in about another year or so, Asha will be ready to get pregnant again and have another baby. So hopefully we'll continuously have baby elephants and have quite a big herd at the Oklahoma City Zoo.
And the pregnancies last quite a long time.
Yeah, it's a 22-month pregnancy, so almost 2 years. So you have to wait a while to get the baby elephant.
Mm-hmm. Where are your offices on the zoo grounds?
Our offices currently are outside the zoo perimeter, so you can't see them from zoo grounds. We're on the south side of the zoo, right next to the amphitheater. We do have some really exciting plans for the zoo. We're building a new veterinary hospital. It's going to be on the south side of the zoo still, in the area that we call Dog Row, currently where the cheetahs and the African wild dogs are. Mm-hmm. And so you'll be able to actually access the veterinary hospital from Oklahoma Trails. So all of our great visitors that we get every year will be able to actually watch what we do every day in our treatment and surgery areas, watch us do x-rays on the animals, pretty much everything that we do.
When an animal is going to be examined, do you go to them, or if the size is possible, do they come to your office?
It really is a little bit of both. Obviously, you know, the elephants can't come to the hospital. They're too big. So we go to them. And a lot of the animals actually come to the hospital. That's where we have all of our equipment. We do have a lot of portable things that we can take to exhibits to work on animals, but it's a lot easier for us to have all of our equipment right at our fingertips in the hospital, and this new state-of-the-art facility is going to be a tremendous help to us in doing that.
The current facility I'm reading now includes surgical and treatment rooms, diet kitchen, clinical wards, recovery areas, pharmacy, and the new facility will do even more? The
new facility will definitely do more. We're going to have, the public will be able to look into our laboratory where we do blood work and that sort of a thing, into our surgery, treatment, radiology areas. They'll also be able to look into the commissary where we prepare animal diets every day. And we're really going to be able to do a lot more. We're going to have a lot more space. We've outgrown our current facility. Technology has improved quite a bit. We have all of the same techniques and tools that they have in human medicine. Right. Since that technology has elevated, we've sort of run out of space at the current facility to be able to do that cutting edge, new medicine. So this new facility is going to give us a lot more room to be able to do a lot more.
Okay. Now, truth time. If there's one or two animals you just hate when they get sick because they're just tough to deal with, what would they be? What would be the species that you just don't look forward to dealing with?
Sure. Well, there's definitely a few of those. One of those are the tortoises, and I'll tell you why. Because when you look at a tortoise, they go into their shell, and you have basically a turtle in a shell. What can you do with that? You can't, if they don't want to come out, they're not going to come out. So it's a little bit challenging to do. Some of the other ones that are quite a challenge are fish, because they live in the water. So you have to do a lot of things while they're still in the water. So you have to modify your techniques quite a bit and get very creative with your treatments. And then the other one would probably be the little itty bitty teeny birds. Very difficult to work with because they're so delicate. And again, takes a lot of creativity to work on something that small.
Well, we appreciate your work, and especially your co-workers at the Oklahoma City Zoo.
Great, thank
citizens
you.
of Oklahoma City, I know, have prioritized the zoo, are very proud of it, and love to bring their family and friends from other parts of the country out to come see it. And I urge you to get out here in the year of 2012 and visit the Oklahoma City Zoo. And I know you join me in thanking Dr. Jennifer D'Agostino for all of her work and for joining us here on the Mayor's Magazine.
Great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
We'll be right back after this.
Oklahoma City homeowners wanting to save money on their electric and gas bills by making their home more energy efficient can apply for a green home loan offered through the City of Oklahoma City. The loans are offered to Oklahoma City residents whose household income is $100,000 or less. Some of the energy-efficient upgrades that can be made with a loan include installation of energy-efficient windows or exterior doors, adding insulation to the attic and walls, or replacing inefficient window units with central heat and air. For more information about the loans, call the Community Action Agency at 232-0199.
Did you know 1/3 of an average landfill is made up of packaging material? Why be part of the problem? Recycling is as easy as rinsing and throwing. No need to sort. Set out the little blue bin on your regular trash day. Now it even pays to recycle. Each week, one lucky Oklahoma City resident will win $100 just for setting out their little blue bin full of the proper recyclable materials. Be part of the solution. Start recycling today.
I'm Lee Criswell with Street Maintenance. Help us while we repair your city streets. Please slow down and be alert in all work zones.
Welcome back to the Mayor's Magazine. In this segment, we're going to meet Juliet Nees Bright. She's with the Toby Keith Foundation. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
You guys do some great work over there.
I think so, yeah.
For the people who may not be acquainted with the foundation and the specific work that you're involved with, why don't you give kind of an overview?
Okay. The Toby Keith Foundation has actually been in existence since 2006, but prior to that, Toby had an original band member who lost his little girl to cancer in 2003, and so very shortly after that, Toby helped start the Toby Keith and Friends Golf Classic, which is our annual fundraiser. It's our biggest fundraiser of the year. We're about to celebrate our 9th anniversary for that event, and we're very excited about it. But through the course of these years, what we've done is really streamlined our efforts, and we've decided that what's best going to suit Oklahoma City is to build a home called OK Kids Corral, which is a home away from home for kids with cancer as they are in Oklahoma City receiving their treatment.
That's great. And how many kids are getting treatment and how many are you able to help?
Well, once we open up, we're going to break ground this spring. Once we open up, we will have 16 suites, and 12 of those are overnight suites that will sleep 5 people each. So we definitely want entire families to come stay in the house and stay together and really keep, you know, that family unit strong. And then we'll have 4 daytime suites, and those are for families who they may have a 9 a.m. appointment and then not another appointment until 2 o'clock, and where do they go? And so they can actually come, check into the corral, rest, take a shower, or just play in our indoor-outdoor playground.
And where is it located?
It's going to be on the campus of OU Medical Center, really on Northeast 8th and Laird. Yeah.
And what's the timetable for construction?
About 15 months. So we'll be open in 2013. It's 25,000 square feet. It's a huge undertaking. So again, we have the 16 suites, but we also have an indoor theater, an indoor playroom, an area for families, a business area, but for families really to stay connected with their extended families, to keep them abreast of what's going on with their child and their treatment. We'll have an outdoor play area, lots of community areas to keep families connected with each other. Because in this house, every family that's in this house will have heard the words, "Your child has cancer." And so I think bringing all those families together is going to help them create this unit inside the house that's going to keep them strong.
What's the model that you all have been trying to follow? Are there other organizations offering services like this that you all want to emulate?
Well, most of us know about Ronald McDonald House, but we are specific to kids with cancer. So there is a place in Baltimore, Maryland, who does something very similar, but we felt with the new cancer treatment facilities that are opening up in Oklahoma, we needed to be a complement service to these children who are coming to our state to receive treatment, or who live maybe in Hobart, Oklahoma, and they have to drive an hour and a half to treatment and then an hour and a half back home every day. And when you receive cancer treatments, it's not usually just a day or two. It's weeks and months and sometimes years at a time.
And when Toby gets involved in something, he generally doesn't just loan his name. He puts his heart and soul into it. How has he been involved in this?
Absolutely. Well, I always give this example because, again, I mentioned we're having our golf tournament that's coming up in May, and Toby actually takes the stage, and he's the auctioneer, and he auctions off all the live, you know, he's very hands-on, and so we definitely appreciate that. We like having him involved in all the steps, and he sees, you know, the tile that we're picking out and the paint that we're picking out, so it's nice.
And Toby, obviously known around the world. How many days a year would you guess he is in the Oklahoma City area at his home or doing something in the metropolitan area?
I can't even guess, but between his touring schedule and then he goes overseas, you know, every year, it's probably not that much.
He's visiting a lot of our military installations.
Exactly.
Yeah. And at all times representing Oklahoma.
Right. I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Well, thanks very much for coming on the show. Is there anything our citizens can do to be more involved or to help? Well,
I always encourage people to go to our website. It's www.tobykeithfoundation.org. On our website is a video. It's called Cash's Story, but it is told eloquently from a mother's point of view who actually went through this, and she knows what the benefit would be to build the corral and have a facility like this just in central Oklahoma. You know, it's cost-free, it's going to be comfortable, and it's convenient for the families. So I do always ask people to go to our website and watch the video, and we have events throughout the year that people can volunteer at, and you know, just get involved with us.
All right. Juliet Nees-Bright, thanks very much for what you're doing, and thank Toby on our behalf.
I will. Thank you so
much. Doing some
much.
great work out there on the campus of the Health Sciences Center. We'll be back with more of the Mayor's Magazine right after this.
I love a man who changes his own oil.
You shouldn't sneak up on people like that. That suit's scary.
What's scary is all that oil.
Nah, I'm going to store it in my garage with my old car batteries.
I'm sure what you meant to say was, you'll take all of this to the Household Hazardous Waste Collection Facility, where it can be disposed of safely, right?
Depends. Are you wearing that suit to dinner?
The things a girl has to do for her environment. Get more info at okc.gov.
In Oklahoma, the sights and sounds of severe weather are all too familiar. Do you know what to do when you hear an outdoor warning siren?
I'm Frank Barnes, Oklahoma City Emergency Manager. In Oklahoma City, the sirens sound to warn you that weather conditions may produce a tornado.
That's your signal to take shelter and seek information about where severe weather could strike.
And remember, an all-clear signal does not sound. Always monitor the weather conditions until the threat has passed.
Welcome back to the Mayor's Magazine. In this segment, we're going to be discussing the Oklahoma City Memorial Marathon. We have the Executive Director of the Memorial, Carrie Watkins, here, as well as the President of the Oklahoma City Memorial Marathon, Tom Hill. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Mayor.
Don't know where to start with the two of you. We could fill a segment with each of you almost every week because both of your lives are so busy. But Carrie, first of all, give us an update on the memorial itself. How is the memorial doing?
The memorial still is an integral part of the city. It plays a huge role in bringing people to the city. We had visitors in this past year in 78 different countries, and hit the visitors from all 50 states each month. And so just today, on the way down here, rode down with the visitors from Tennessee and Louisiana, and it's fun to see visitors coming here and seeing the memorial as well as other places around town. And we love that they're continuing to learn the story. And we're working now on a museum master plan that will update the museum with artifacts and stories we didn't have a decade ago when we opened, and I think we're continuing to make good progress.
And in my travels, people continually give me rave reviews about their experience, and they tell me usually the emotional moment and what it felt like to them, and it's about as you would expect. But I also want to say in the tours that I give, and I'm sure they're not nearly as extensive or in number or in the quality of the ones that you're involved with, but I'm amazed at the meticulous care of the grounds. That it's beautiful every time I go. Doesn't matter if it's morning, afternoon, or in the middle of the night. And sometimes I've been there after midnight with people. It's amazing the care that you all are taking in being the custodians of that.
Well, I mean, it's something we hold very, very dear to our heart. I mean, we have an incredible staff that does a great job, 24 hours a day, of taking care of that site. And it's a level of excellence that we demand and expect from our staff, and I think there's a great community buy-in for that. What people don't always realize is that that site is not funded with any government dollars. It is paid for by people who visit and by private donors, and so that makes it even more special because it really is the people taking care of this place, and it's a very, very special place, I think, to the world, and we take that responsibility very seriously.
And Tom, the Memorial Marathon is a big fundraiser for the memorial itself. How much money has the Memorial Marathon raised for the foundation?
Well, Carrie can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we've exceeded $3 million as of last year. Last year, our donation was $850,000. So
it's tremendous. And you have another big field expected this year.
Yes, our pre-registration is up significantly over last year, and we're predicting probably close to 27,000 total participants. And much like people who visit, we'll get people from all 50 states and from several foreign countries, and we do that every year. I think it's significant, not just that we're raising money, which is important because, as Carrie said, it's a big piece of keeping the place looking good, so that we can both remember what happened and also look forward to a future maybe where violence is not a solution to our problems. But also, those people come here and they experience our city, they experience our people. Mayor, the number one comment we get from people who are out of town who come to our race is it is the friendliest place they have ever visited in their life. And that's not just our race staff, although they're very friendly and very much tuned into making it a great experience. That starts when they land at the airport or drive into town, check into a hotel,
Yeah, it starts
service
with the cab
at a
drivers at
restaurant.
the airport. I hear lots of
everywhere.
good comments.
Yes.
You're absolutely right.
It's fantastic.
And when I think back at the numbers, it just seems like it wasn't that long ago we hit 10,000.
I know.
I mean, so do you remember? Can you kind of give me a trend here?
Well, it's been fairly consistent growth. We started with about 5,000, and we have grown somewhere in the 12 to 15 or 17% almost every year. So it's just been a steady growth, and of course that ends up looking like a curve like this because the same percentage of a bigger number is a bigger number, which we like. But
do you chart? Are these people coming back again and again, or is it mostly new people? Where's the growth?
We do both. We kind of pay attention to repeat people that are coming back. I would say that more than half of our total registration every year is new people that are coming in. There's a lot of people who won't run more than 1 or 2 marathons or even half marathons in their lives. There's a fairly few number of people like me who are dumb enough to go try this over and over and over again. We do have 41 people who have run every marathon.
And you were, I was asking, and you were telling me you were one of those 41.
I am one of those. So.
Congratulations on that.
But a lot of new
By the way,
people.
are all 41 scheduled to be back in this race?
It's hard to tell. Some of them will wait until the week before. We made a deal with them. Everybody who made it to 10 has a free registration for the rest of their life, and so there's no hurry for them. They can just show up at the expo. I'll have a bib for them, and so some of them we don't know until the day of the race that they're actually going to run with us.
What are some of the great stories you've heard? Fathers and sons, family members that have come to this race again and again, and people that come from out of state that feel a special connection.
Yeah, we do have. It's amazing every year. I'm usually at the expo. Actually, I am always at the expo, and get to see a lot of people coming through picking up their packets. And we do get some people who have come back year after year. And what's cool is they're bringing friends or family members. We've got a couple of people that just amaze me. One is a man out of Tulsa who comes down, been doing it now for the last number of years, and pushes his son in a wheelchair, and he comes back every year. And there's a wheelchair athlete who is in a regular wheelchair. You don't really see the wheelchair athletes, in those fast, light. Sure. He is in a normal, steel, everyday wheelchair, and he comes and does the wheelchair event. Very inspirational. So we do get a lot of people that come back, and the other thing we get, we offer people the opportunity to run in honor of someone who perished in the bombing, and there's a booth set up. The memorial staff and friends and family members maintain that, and a lot of people do that, but a lot of people come and run for someone that they've lost or someone that they're worried about. So we have a lot of people who are running for parents who are cancer survivors or who they lost to cancer, people who lost children, people who have lost loved ones overseas. So you get this camaraderie of we're all running for something other than ourselves. The race is not about us. It's not about running. It's about surviving and overcoming and how we respond to the things that we can't plan for. Just a wonderful example of our lives, really.
And not everybody wants to run a full marathon. What other entry-level opportunities do you have for them to be involved?
We have a half marathon, which is just exactly what it sounds like. It's half the distance. We also have a relay. 5 people get to split the marathon distance up, and there's 2 opportunities to run 5K, 2 opportunities to run 10K, which is just about 6 miles, and then 1 person has to run about 7K. That's the long leg. And then if you're not interested in competing at all, you can get in the 5K, which is not a competitive event. It's walk, run, jog, push a baby stroller. It's 3 miles. It's usually a beautiful morning, and you can take as long as you want, and you get the same experience everybody else gets. You get to start on the start line and finish on the finish line, and eat bananas and bagels in the finish area. So you can be just like everybody else and just have a nice day of it. And then of course we have the kids marathon, which is very important to us.
How many enter that?
Last year we had about 3,600 or 700. This year we're looking at maybe 4,200, 4,300 kids.
And we're starting to see those kids become 5Ks or half marathoners or marathoners, which I think is, speaks to your message of a healthier community and growing these kids as young athletes.
And Carrie, I guess it also is exposing the memorial and what the bombing means to a new generation.
Absolutely.
Because these kids, it's ancient history to them.
When we built the museum, we said we would someday soon teach this generation that wasn't alive. But we are there. I mean, we're in the midst of it. And the marathon makes it relevant, and it gives us a reason to teach. It allows us to celebrate their lives in a way that causes us to remember and to live, move forward and live on. And so it really does give us a chance and an opportunity to get out in schools to teach kids that have no recollection of this at all. I mean, it is
right.
It will take something like this to get in front of them and say, here's why we're doing this and here's why it's important.
The three of us have been around here for quite a while, but one of the reflections that I've been making recently in some of my public comments is that if you're 12 years old and you live in Oklahoma City, you probably think we've always had an NBA team. And if you're 18, you probably think that the river has always had water in it.
Right.
It's the only city you know. And you probably think the ballpark's always been downtown. And you probably don't know much about the memorial and the bombing that took place other than what you've seen in pictures and what adults have told you. So I do feel like we have a responsibility to kind of pass along these experiences because we've been through a lot, financial and also, the emotional experience of the bombing. And times are relatively good comparatively,
right.
and I think it is good that we pass along that appreciation of the good times to the next generation.
Well, we were just doing some oral histories today with some people who were intricately involved in developing the memorial, and I think we talked about the responsibility we have to teach this generation that it was the spirit of how we recovered from the bombing and how we moved forward together that has helped propel us to where we are today. And it wasn't always like this, and we don't ever want to go backwards. And so how you keep that unity and moving forward from neighborhood associations to, the city council, how we continue to work together and keep what we have to get to the next level.
Tom, how can people get involved in the race on April 29th?
Mayor, lots of ways. Obviously, they can participate, and it's not too late. Probably too late to start training for a marathon if you haven't been running. But maybe not too late to train for a half marathon if you are a weekend runner, and certainly not too late to get involved as a relay team or to come out and do the 5K. If you're not interested in participating in that way, 6,000 volunteers are needed to put the race on, and we don't have them all yet. And so there's an opportunity for you to sign up. You can go online on the website and click volunteer and sign up, and somebody will call you and talk to you about what you want to do and get you hooked up. And then last but not least, you and I have talked about this year after year. My dream is that someday most of Oklahoma City will roll out and line the course, and we'll have wall-to-wall people like they do in New York and Boston, 3 people deep for 26 miles, and it's going to take all of us to do that. So if they're not participating and they don't want to volunteer, get up Sunday morning, find a place on course, camp out, clap, ring a cowbell, shout and cheer for those people that are out there because it makes all the difference in the world when you're running to have that support.
I have heard runners tell me that the encouragement they receive along the way is very helpful in getting through
Sometimes
some tough
it's
times.
a difference between finishing and not finishing for people. It really is that important.
Well, Tom, good luck with the marathon, and Carrie, good luck, of course, every day in your great work down at the memorial. That's going to do it for this edition of the Mayor's Magazine. We're glad you took the time to join us for this March 2012 show. We'll be back next month. We'll see you then.
Let's buy this TV online.
Do we need a 72-inch screen?
Yeah. You better keep the receipt so that you can pay the use tax,
You say something?
No.
Honey, do we have to pay taxes on it?
Yes, you will owe a use tax on that TV you're buying online. But don't take it from me. I'm just the elephant in the room.
The law requires you pay a use tax on certain out-of-state or online purchases for use in Oklahoma. Visit tax.ok.gov for more information.
Peanut?